Greetings in the precious name of our Lord Jesus Christ. We are continuing in our studies from Romans chapter 12, verses 9 to 21. And this section deals with the believer's response to other people in the context of Christian behavior. In this study, we will be looking at verses 16 and 17. Let me read these verses from the ESV translation. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. The word harmony in verse 16 nicely portrays how we are to be in our thinking. The word harmony is the pleasing sound that comes from the blending of sounds from a combination of musical instruments. Living in harmony is possible if a Christian is not given to thinking high things about himself. The word haughty indicates a superior attitude. It is seen in an unwillingness to associate with people of low position. The scriptures have many things to say about a haughty attitude. It is the first thing in the list that the writer to the Proverbs says is detestable to the Lord. Proverbs 6 and verse 17, haughty eyes. It caused the downfall of Lucifer. We should avoid any trace of haughtiness and be as ready to associate with humble, lowly folk as toward those of wealth and position. The verse goes on to say, never be wise in your sight. In other words, don't think too much about your own wisdom. There is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is gathering and collecting facts or information. Wisdom is the power and capacity to use and apply knowledge. Paul shows this distinction in 1 Corinthians 8, where he discusses food offered to idols. He states in verse 1 that all of us possess knowledge. But this knowledge puffs up. If anyone imagines that he knows something, he does not yet know as he ought to know. Paul goes on to show that an idol has no real existence. We are no worse off if we do not eat such food, and no better off if we do eat such food. But it is quite possible to destroy a weak brother for whom Christ died by using the knowledge to eat such food. The wisdom then is not to use that knowledge. In Proverbs 26 and verse 12 we read, do you see a man who is wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. James gives us the characteristic of wisdom from above. It is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. The sad fact is that there are many who have knowledge, but few have wisdom with the characteristics given by James. May God grant us an opening of eyes to see where we stand. The apostle goes on to instruct us, repay no one evil for evil. The very fact that the instruction is given shows that there is a distinct possibility that Christians can repay evil with evil. From experience, it seems to be more the rule rather than the exception. Even if it is not done openly, Christians can repay evil with evil in indirect ways. The story is told of American soldiers who kept playing pranks on the Korean attender boy. They would put a bucket of water on the top of the door so that when he opened it, the water would fall on him. They would nail his shoes to the floor so that when he went to put it on, he would find it stuck to the ground. They soon felt sorry because this boy took it all so cheerfully and always smiled. One day they told him that they would not play pranks on him anymore. In that case, he said, "I will not any more put spit in the soup I serve you." Now that is not the way that the Christian should act. In the last part of verse 17, Paul says, "Give thought to what is honorable in the sight of all." As Christians, we are called to live on a high plane that even the unbelievers will recognize it. There is an example from Paul's own life with regard to monetary matters. This is an area where there are many failures in the lives of Christians. The Macedonian churches in 2 Corinthians 8 had made a collection for the needy saints in Jerusalem. The apostle took precautions in sending the gift with 3 men so that no one would accuse him of mishandling money. In 1 Corinthians 8 and verse 21, he makes that exemplary statement. We aim at what is honorable, not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of men. The last 4 verses, from verses 18 to 21 of Romans 12, shows us how Christians can live harmoniously, especially with outsiders. Verse 18 says, "If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all." It takes all parties involved to keep peace. Isaac's life stands out as an example of keeping peace with outsiders. The Lord had blessed Isaac with wealth, so that the Philistines envied him. When Abimelech told Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we," Isaac moved and camped in the valley of Gerar. Now Isaac's servants dug a well there, and then the local herdsmen came and quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen and claimed that the well was theirs. The names of 2 wells over which they quarreled are Esek and Sitna. Esek means contention and Sitna means enmity. Isaac did not fight over these wells, even though he had put his effort and time to dig them. He moved from there and dug another well, and we read that they did not quarrel over it. And so he called its name Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has made room for us." What an example for New Testament believers. James raises the question, what causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. It is a downright fallacy to give spiritual reasons for a quarrel. When we have offended others, or when someone has offended us, we should work tirelessly for a peaceful resolution of the matter. Let me stop here by concluding with verse 1. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship.